Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. It's another episode of the Blitz, my backyard sports media. We got the whole gang here with us right on time.
No flag layout.
No flag layout. The United
I
States
am
of Andy.
disappointed. I was
Andy,
enjoying
how are you tonight, bud?
Dude, suck my dick.
technical difficulties.
It's tough.
But we're
It's
here,
real tough.
close to on time.
Yeah. Dude. Okay, Gary, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Feels good to be back. We have
Sir.
an insane week to talk about.
Yeah.
Lots of things that went kind of as expected, I think, and there was some things that I'm interested to talk about. I want to talk about the Cardinals addition of a wide receiver. I want to talk about all kinds of shit tonight. So let's get right into it. Washington Commanders winning it on the road in Chicago, 12-7, and yeah, it was a worthy island, I guess.
It was a Thursday night game in
Yeah, it
all
was a
its glory.
Thursday. Oh, man,
Had
You
two
know-
more touchdowns than the week before, though.
yeah, and then we have a down Wentz.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, and real quick, I think that what we're gonna see is Washington's gonna win enough games with Tyler Heineke to save Ron's job, and I'm gonna be fucking miserable for another year. Because the only reason I say that is because Heineke makes plays off schedule, Carson Wentz doesn't, and Scott Turner's offense is not built to be played on schedule because it's fucking terrible. So I anticipate the Washington offense is going to look a lot better in the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. And that's going to lead to Ron sticking around for another fucking year.
Man, I'd say you're wrong, but you're not.
That's all I wanted to say, though.
There's
There ain't
there's
much
kind
to
of
talk
a,
about
you know,
this goddamn game.
the whole organization. Snyder's got some things. Anyways, I guess we'll probably.
I hope
get into
two
that a
things
little bit.
happen. One, I hope they make him sell the team. And two, I hope he releases all the dirt he's got on the owners. I just want to see that fucking
Oh yeah, floodgates.
waterfall. Oh, I want it. I
Oh,
want
and
it
everyone
all.
wants the dirt on one man in particular, and he goes by
Oh,
the name of Jerry Jones.
Yeah, Jerry's there, but I want to know all the dirt.
Yeah,
man.
I want the dirt
This
on
good
all.
old boys club. It needs to be exposed because it's nonsense. We all know nonsense goes on behind those closed doors.
No doubt.
Also, who's doing these fucking schedules? Like, I get the Denver thing. Trust me, I get the Denver thing. We know my pick was
Mhm.
Denver, but
It
like,
was. Sure
why
was.
are the Commanders and Bears playing in fucking primetime? Like, nobody thought that was going to be a game.
So here's the thing with the scheduling,
Don't do
right?
it.
Here's the thing with the scheduling. Every team has to play a primetime game. And you take these teams like Washington, Jacksonville, Chicago, you wonder why they've always played on Thursday nights because nobody wants to play Thursday night. Nobody wants to play overseas. They send all those teams over to London. Now they've got more games overseas and we're getting better teams. We've also got Amazon bringing a lot of money to the table. We've got some pretty good games on the slate on Thursday nights, but there's still a lot of stinkers that these teams have to have primetime games. The brand is there. It's just the quality of football is not.
Yeah, there's been one
Next
good game.
year.
One
Next
good
year.
game.
Next year, Amazon is going to have enough money in the pot because they're probably going to get Sunday ticket as well. Amazon's going to have enough money in the pot that we're going to get really good games on Thursday night. I think that's just my opinion, but I think the money's going to be good enough next year that we're not going to get Denver, Jacksonville every fucking week. That's
100%.
all.
Senior, good to see you. All right, so running back into it, Jacksonville. Kind of a nail biter there, I guess, but a suck fest nonetheless. Is Indianapolis wins at home, Andy, on Victory Island there, 27-34.
Matt Ryan looked better than he has all year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yep.
Jacksonville, I guess, but
Yeah, fair enough.
anyway.
Sort of. That was actually kind of an interesting game. I did find myself watching part of it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yep.
Little glimpses there from Matt Ryan. So all of us here taking an L here, and I'm I suppose that there's not a lot to really talk about here, but
I
you know,
want-
the upset is one thing.
When I pick a good team against a dog shit team in a survivor pool, that good team, I apologize, Tampa. They're guaranteed to lose. I got knocked out of my survivor pool with Tampa against Pittsburgh missing TJ Watt and their entire secondary. So I don't know.
And here I am thinking it was my parlay that did it.
I am the kiss of death with these fucking survivor pools, man.
I was sitting there at the bar saying that I'm like I can't win an NFL parlay. I
Yeah.
need the NBA to be back. And the game I decided to parlay in favor of one team heavily was this game. Obviously not for the Steelers, but yeah, it was cool. It was an easy one. It was the easiest parlay I've done all season, and I
Yeah.
lost.
Tom was tearing into them fuckers on the offensive line. I'm curious to see how they come out next week.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes as well. So, reading like a book here, you know, you being on the Dallas island for me was kind of confusing because I didn't think that I felt like you respected the Eagles a little more. But man, that game was just, it was the equalizer. It let everybody know who the fucking real team in the NFC East is. It let everybody know that it kind of put a quarterback conversation to rest. And so
I think that's the biggest thing to come out of this game is like the Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott conversation is pretty well dead. It probably should have never started. Like Cooper Rush is fine. We talked about it last week. Like, is he the best backup quarterback in the NFL? Not even that. So,
yeah,
but look, I like what he did. I picked this because I thought that Dallas's pass rush was going to be able to make plays against Jalen Hurts, and they looked flat. I was really disappointed in the Dallas defense. I know the offense struggled because of the turnovers. They didn't really get the run game going, which was a little bit surprising to me. But what really disappointed me in this game for Dallas was that pass rush up front. They did not create havoc for Jalen Hurts after DeMarcus Lawrence talked all that shit about Jalen Hurts and how they were going to terrorize him in the backfield and yada yada. We know some things that, and let's not get it twisted. This Eagles team is not a 6-0 team, right? Like they are 6-0. The record is what it says, but they have literally played about a quarter and a half to 2 quarters in every single game this year. And they've been fortunate that they've blown everybody out in the second quarter, blown the doors off of people in the second quarter because they've been really, really bad in the second halves of every game they've played this year. I mean, they scored back-to-back weeks. They scored 24 points in the first half and 0 in the second half at one point this season. I'm still not convinced that Philly is a juggernaut necessarily. They're 6-0. Got to give them the respect. I think they put pressure on defense in ways that other teams can't. But they need to figure out how to play a complete game. And probably the best thing they have going for them is that they haven't played a complete game yet, and they're 6-0, right?
Right. And I do want to say for that as well, I did qualify that they've shown to be the powerhouse in the NFC East.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Right. I scrutinized the record after 4 wins, but it really comes down to you have to play your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's what counts. And I'm going to tell you guys right now that I don't know if you looked ahead, but it's not getting harder for them.
Nope.
No, they've got one of the 5 weakest so far, and it's
they've got Pittsburgh,
the
Texans, the Commanders, the Colts, the Packers, the Titans, the Giants, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Giants. Like, in what world do you live in when the Giants are the toughest game on your schedule? I don't know.
Yeah, because nobody even considered Green Bay. That's where we're at.
Thanos fucked it all up.
Dude, it's a tough go, man.
I will say this though, like with Dallas, I thought that the coaching was top notch if you're Philly, because they did a really good job and they took Dallas's best player out of the game, Fitzpatrick. Everywhere he was, they optioned away. So when Minka.
Oh, Parsons.
I'm sorry.
Minka Fitzpatrick Parsons. You're right.
Minka Parsons. My fault.
Yep.
I actually confused that earlier this season too.
You're good.
Parsons. They whenever he was in coverage, they ran the ball. When he got up, they passed the ball. And he was a non-factor all day because of that. And, the flip side of that, I don't know if many cornerbacks have looked better than Darius Slay this season. Just he's doing what Darius Slay's always done, the big play Slay. I mean,
I think people have to realize now, like, Darius Slay was this guy in Detroit, though.
Yeah, he
Like,
was.
He's been this guy.
Yeah.
He just hasn't had the platform to say. Now he's on a 6-0 team, and we notice him. He was on some 3-13, 4-12
Right.
Detroit teams.
I mean,
But
he's always been one of the best lock-up man-to-man guys in the NFL. I mean, ever since he was a young guy in Detroit. So you're right. We're seeing it now.
We talked about that when Philly made that move, right? That was one of the ones that kind of slid under the radar during that offseason. He's a dude.
Hey, thanks, Matt Patricia.
Yeah, fucking Matt Patricia. Raul, as the resident Cowboys fan, what did you make of this game, man? We've been kind of waxing a lot.
I mean, the biggest point, the biggest takeaways that I have here is that from a competitive standpoint, Dallas is not ready defensively. They're not near as good as they think they are. I think that the quarterback conversation's been settled. I think we still have a ball game ahead of us against Detroit.
Maybe if Detroit from the first few weeks shows up and not Detroit from the New England
that
game,
offense going.
we don't know.
I think this is a defense to do it. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form under the impression that Dallas is.
You sound like you came out of this game feeling a lot worse about the defense than you probably should have felt after 5 weeks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see some better cohesion. I wanted to see some walk with fucking Micah Parsons and D-Law's talk.
I feel the same way, right? I said it right off the
And
bat.
Diggs.
This defense looked flat. They didn't get a pass rush. Andy said it. Micah was too easily neutralized. The Eagles just seemed to have an answer. I don't know if that was checks at the line of scrimmage, calling based off of where Micah was, but whatever it was, that it worked because he wasn't the wrecking ball that he was for 5 weeks. He wasn't the wrecking ball that he was the week prior, even after hurting his groin in that game. This was a very different Dallas defense than we saw.
Well, and credit to the offense. I mean, the offensive line they were firing on all cylinders. They were blocking exactly where they needed to. They were holding pressure and keeping the box open, or running a spread defense, just trying to give Jalen a big area to throw from.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's coaching. I think it's just coaching. I think that Philly outcoached Dallas, and we're all not shocked by that. And then there's the Dak.
I think I'm shocked that Sirianni's okay.
Well, there's the Dak element too, because we get to the point where it's like Rush plays well. Fuck Dak. Maybe Dak's not the guy, the starter anymore.
Yeah, it's the pendulum swing.
Well, we always do this
extreme
stuff.
fanhood.
It's just one of those crazy things, and I think it's probably a different landscape with Dak Prescott there, because then you at least have somebody on the other end who's forces the opposing defense to make different reads, and as well as Rush has played in his place. He's done his job pretty well. It's not the same thing. And
you're asking a lot of a backup quarterback, period.
Right. Or the fucking Tom Brady and all that, like this. It gets out of control, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dallas defense was struggling.
I
think that's a good way to put it. As Aaron said, they read off of him and they made changes accordingly. I think the one thing that surprised me the most about Cooper Rush in this game is he was reckless with the ball several times.
He was drinking the Kool-Aid. He's been on Twitter.
Maybe. It's very possible. He just seemed reckless with the ball, which is something we hadn't seen from him in his 5 previous
Yeah, he was arrogant.
It very well could be that.
I can't even blame the dude, man. Like, I might start. You start feeling yourself a little bit,
His wife came to the game.
The defense
against
is
a team like
back.
the Eagles, bro.
His wife came to the game.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's a fool's errand, and I would hope that he wouldn't be that arrogant.
Well, I would do that shit all
At the end of the day, you're still a backup quarterback.
It did feel like he was making some reckless throws.
Chill out.
Be like, this is my team.
You know what I mean? Nick Foles technically has a Super Bowl. You know. Anyways, moving on. San Francisco, you know, they're not ready yet. And 14-28, Atlanta wins at home. I'll take my victory lap here.
Was this Raul? I know you picked
Home
this,
field
but, like,
advantage.
Was it that close for you that it was just home field advantage?
Yeah, I feel like if Cordero Patterson was healthy, then I would give them a straight out edge. But for me, I feel like it was close enough to where, because yeah, I mean, I feel like Atlanta and San Francisco are on similar pars in different areas, no doubt, but they're on similar pars overall when you're talking about 4 quarters.
I think we saw a shell shock game from San Fran. They came out, everything
I felt like
seemed
this
to
was
go
the
wrong.
biggest upset of the weekend, even maybe
was.
more than Tampa and
It was.
Pittsburgh.
Now everything seemed to go wrong for San Fran, I thought, and
Yeah.
you
They
know, it's just
finished
one
that
of
game
those
with-
bad games.
They finished that game with only
However-
4 of their defensive starters, and one of them ended up in concussion protocol.
However, I mean,
Crazy.
Atlanta is 4 points away from.
They're being 4-2 or 5-1
Listen.
even, I think.
I mean, from being undefeated,
They're
they're
6-0
like
against the spread on the year.
they lost to the Saints by 1, and they lost to the Rams by 4, and that took a Jalen Ramsey Moss play. And they lost to the Bucks. I mean, that one was a little different. So one, you know, they're kind of close to being 1 loss away, and they haven't had the easy schedule. I mean, I think a lot of us thought. I know I did. I don't know. I don't remember about you guys, but I thought Atlanta might be the worst team in the league this year.
I thought they were going to have the number 1
They had a
pick
real
next
shot at it.
year. Yeah, I thought they were going to have the number 1 pick next year. Crazy. I just felt like
Never
this
had a
was
doubt,
big,
dude. I never had a doubt.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've been riding with the motherfuckers all season, just for the
Hey,
record. All right,
Get
so
it, buddy. Arthur
Gary-
Smith is doing good things down there, man.
speaking of a guy, this guy has been riding Kirk Cousins' dick for years as Minnesota
Jeez.
gets the win on the road.
Me saying he's better than other people think he is.
24-16.
Got the Kirk Cousins easy pass on the dick.
Hey, guess what? They're 5-1, feeling
They are.
themselves 2-game lead in the division.
Yo.
I think at least a couple of us said they were going to win the division, right?
I think we all did. I believe.
Maybe we all did. Yeah, I know.
think we all
I had
did.
them. Yeah,
This is the year. Green Bay's
I think I
down.
had them in a wild card because I
Minnesota's
felt like
finally out underneath the fucking Mike Zimmer stigma. Did you pick? You did pick Green Bay to win it, Raul?
I think I had Green Bay to win it, but Vikings
Minnesota wild card.
to
Yeah.
be the wild card. Yeah, no, they're one of those teams where I feel like a lot of times, like, not to pump up Gary's guy, but like the offense has let Kirk Cousins down a little bit in the past, and now they're not doing that. The defense looks much better. I mean,
The defense
Dalvin
made a
Cook's
stop
playing
late.
good football.
That was a big change. They made a stop late. Cook
Right.
sealed it with
Yeah,
that
they're
long
just-
run.
You know, we're not going out there and seeing like an empty 400-yard game from Cousins,
Yeah.
which I feel like we've seen in the past. Like,
Yep.
they get blown out. He puts up some stats, and then we're like, this guy kind of fucking sucks.
Mhm.
And now it's just kind of like one of those things where the coaching has been much better. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah.
And fucking Minnesota, they got snow already.
Minnesota.
They make a mean casserole.
Hey, lightning question. Don't pull up the cameras. Let's just keep the schedule going. But
All
lightning question. Ask while I'm about to read the next game. Who is a better quarterback, Kirk Cousins or Tony Romo in their prime?
Tony Romo.
It's close, but
By
I
far.
think
Clears.
Romo was
There it is.
Romo was better.
God.
Better.
I
in
just
bigger
knew that
moments.
this was a good pot to stir because I know that Flint would never even agree that they were close.
Clears them.
They're much
and I
closer.
knew Gary was gonna waffle.
Romo was
These-
better when
these two
the
things are
moment
true.
was bigger though.
Who was better at predicting the scores of big games?
I'm
Romo.
not sure what that means.
Romo.
Romo nailed the Bills-Chiefs game.
He nailed it. It was awesome.
Oh, he's 1 for 70. Yeah.
He's not worse. Come on, dude. Anyways, come on. All of us here, Victory Island, is the Rams win at home against the Panthers. And we'll get to the Panthers later. We need to. We're not going to do it now, but we need to. Anyways, the Chargers win at home, and this is Sunday Night Football. But, or Monday Night Football, excuse me.
Jesus
Dude.
Christ.
It was gross.
So this is the most depressed I've ever. This is the first time I've ever seen Russ look like he's lost hope. And
he was 10 for 10 to start this game and finished 15 for 28.
What happened?
I mean, more importantly, he was doing Russ things. Like we talked about a little bit. Like he was
for a quarter and a half. He was
stepping up into the pocket. He was getting away from would-be tacklers.
He was hitting the moon ball, long, deep balls.
I don't know.
Everybody was starting to think that he was back. Like it's true. Like everyone's like, "Oh shit!"
And he was doing it under duress too. I mean,
there's some gel in here, and then some Melvin Gordon shit happened.
Oh, what the fuck is going on there? Like,
dude,
at first I thought like it's the fumbles.
And what if that's what it is, man? What if it's this? What if this is just locker room toxicity?
This is Russ.
And it's bleeding out on Russ.
This is Russ.
Or do you think Russ is the toxicity?
So
I think people in the NFL are over the fake shit from him. Well, because he's standing outside the locker room high-fiving dudes as they're walking in. I watched 7 or 8 of them roll their eyes as they were fucking high-fiving him. They don't want that dumb high school fake rah-rah bullshit. They're professionals. They're adults. He's so fucking fake in his real life, pretending that kid is his. And fucking, he just can't separate that from fucking football. And
but oftentimes, like, if you can go put on the pads and make things happen on the field, like, it makes a difference. But, like, we're not seeing this. My biggest takeaway is
winning
like,
fixes everything.
Bro, fucking Walmart has owned the Broncos for less than a half a year, and they already turned Russell Wilson into great value product. Son, and that shit is fucked up. This dude, he went from being like at least like Sam's Choice premium to just great value.
Yeah.
He's a Quake brand. This dude's
downgrade.
We thought I think everybody was excited. Like, even if you were a fucking Chargers fan, you might have been semi-excited. Like, all right, Russ is doing some Russ things. We see him ducking through a couple of arms and stepping up, making a throw, making a run, making the right read. Look at this shit.
Oh, shit. Unplug your camera and plug it back in.
If I do that, I might lose everything.
I think we're okay. I think even to go back before the season, I think we all agreed that last year Denver was a quarterback away from being a really good team.
Yeah.
We said it 2 weeks ago. They're still a quarterback away.
Okay, on to the next one. The Melvin Gordon situation is something that's of concern, obviously. But anyway, so Cleveland losing at home against New England, 38-15. Gary on victory island here. The Browns are gonna fucking Browns.
This was the Belichick special.
Down.
Honestly. They held the Browns offense down. They game planned for Nick Chubb. And I didn't expect them to score 38 points, but the Cleveland defense is not good. Stefanski won't survive this season. He's gone. I've been saying from fucking day 7 with him. He was not good in Minnesota. I don't know how he got the head coaching job in Cleveland. He's been bad there. This was Bill Belichick special, just asserting his dominance over the Cleveland Browns, who fired him back in the early 90s. So getting a little revenge here.
Oh, Andy.
I think we're in and out.
All right, so
let's sound.
Let's move on to
it's completely just dump trucked. Fucking piece of shit.
That fucking goddamn camera.
Is this a plug-in camera, or is it just your laptop camera or your computer camera? Hell yeah, good talk. So Cincinnati winning in New Orleans 30-26. And look, the only thing I want to say about this game, and this is just a simple point, the only person that can walk into New Orleans and have home field advantage.
He walked in there with a Jamar Chase national championship.
Other than fucking Drew Brees, there's 2 people that can walk into that stadium and have home field advantage. Their names are Drew Brees and Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And so everybody understood the assignment when he walked into that room, or he walked into that locker room wearing Jamar Chase's 2020 national championship jersey.
Had the stains on it, bro. That was game worn. Yo,
The
look, Jamar Chase is back.
And he had home field advantage on the road.
Yeah.
That is the Tiger King. So that was my quick monologue. I just
If you're
wanted to
on the
throw them
schedule
bars
for
out.
Cincinnati the rest of the way, you better have taken heed that he torched Marshawn Lattimore a couple of times during this game.
Yeah.
One of the better covered corners in the league. A guy that shuts down Mike Evans. Yeah, he cooked.
Well done.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that was, I mean, yeah. And the Bengals look fucking good.
Yeah. Defense has still got a little to go, but yeah, Dad, the defense needs to come around a little bit. But that offense is going. That offense is moving. They're going to be able to pick up the slack while the defense figures it out.
Gang, Aaron.
Gang.
Okay, so last one to get out of the way. And this is another one that's just fucking weird. Okay, so Arizona loses on the road 9-19. Gino kind of doing his thing. You were right to bet on. You were right to bet on it. I have a question, or we'll have a cat facts that we'll go over later on tonight, and we'll get to where I feel like about Arizona and some recent additions. So, I think it's but
Seattle was home. I think they finally have the right guy starting at running back. I've said all along Kenneth Walker is going to be a good NFL running back. Yeah. I don't know why they kept – but Rashad Penny was doing fine this year. Kenneth Walker is a legit dude in that locker room and on that field. But they were home, and Arizona. There's something going on with Arizona. They're not okay. Things are not okay. Cliff has come out and said, I'd be willing to relinquish play calling duties if I thought that it made the team better. When you start saying things like that, that's when everybody in that locker room knows there's something going on. And I don't want to spoil it, but we're going to talk about it later. Are the additions enough? We'll talk about it later.
Or are they even a good thing?
Sure.
So, okay. So perfect timing, Andy. We're getting into the main talks of this evening. Yeah, here we go. And so the New York Jets, Jets, Jets. You've heard it multiple times on the show because we fucking ride with the Jets, or at least me and Stove do. I'll speak for me and Stove. They take down Green Bay in Lambeau. And, again, great win for the Jets. They were clearly the better team, but what the fuck is happening in Green Bay? What is happening? Karma.
Yeah, fuck the Packers.
We got a little quiet from you there. I don't know if your mic's picking everything up.
Probably not.
I'll pipe in while you figure that out. But I mean, this is a double dip here. This is the Jets on one trajectory, and this is the Packers still trying to figure things out. What I worry about with the Packers long term is that defense doesn't look good, and they haven't really looked good all year, with the exception of maybe the Vikings game early in the season. They had some spurts here and there, but you can't rely on the offense. And the defense was supposed to be the strength of the team this year, and the Jets go out and just hang brain all over them. Breece Hall is the real deal. In case you haven't tuned in yet, Breece Hall's the real deal. He breaks tackles. He's elusive. He's good in the pass game. He is the real deal. And the Jets have some serious shit going on in New York, and they're 4-2, and they deserve to be 4-2. But to talk about the Packers, like, it's Rodgers, right? He's having some issues with his teammates. He's talking about needing to simplify the offense, and that's a shot usually at the coaching staff oftentimes, and maybe the receivers, who he has said we've got to bring him along, right? He's trying to be a mentor with the receivers, but I think he's starting to get to the point where he's going to be a little impatient here, because these are losses that are stacking up that they shouldn't be stacking up. This is a team that should be better than they are. With that defense, they've got like 25 first-round picks on that defense. They should be better on defense. I know Rodgers likes Lazard. I just think that, honestly, what what would help him a little bit is if he started looking elsewhere. I saw several times this weekend, Sauce Gardner is a legitimate number one corner in this league. If you don't know that name, you better learn that name. He may be the new Revis there in New York, right? Not saying he's going to be that good, but Rodgers was looking and staring down Allen Lazard a bunch this past weekend, and you can't be successful on offense that way. Even when they had Devontae Adams, they spread the ball around quite a bit. Devontae got the lion's share of it, but they spread the ball around quite a bit. I don't know that this offense, I don't think Aaron has confidence behind the offensive line. They've been struggling a bit, but with the receivers, he needs to start to get Dobbs, and I know Watson hasn't played, but like Dobbs and Amari Rodgers and some of these other guys involved in the offense to start to take some pressure off of himself, off of the run game, but also off of Allen Lazard, who he's not a number one wide receiver in this league.
I think that you hit you said a word there that I feel like is the focus here, and that's trust. Because you mentioned all of the capabilities that they have from like a individual player standpoint and what they are as values to the team. But it's got to come down to trust, man. We have heard nothing but distrust from Aaron Rodgers all season. He's not gelling with his offense. He is, it's his relationship with his receivers are non-existent. He's got 1, 2, and that's kind of it. And I think a lot of this does come down to, you talked about the tension between Aaron and then coach. And it's been pretty evident, right? Like it's
come in like fits and spurts, right? Like they get after each other a little bit, then they're best friends. Then they get after each other a little bit about going for it on fourth down, and then they're best friends. So for sure, there's some tension there. Winning cures everything. They're 13-3 last year, and they're all hunky dory. They lose in the NFC Championship game, and Aaron's mad about not going for it on fourth down. So it's interesting.
100%.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. We saw that in week 1. Christian Watson had a runaway touchdown for 75 yards on the very first offensive play of the game for the Packers. Dropped it. He got like 2 targets the rest of the game. He really is a guy that he just seems to withhold targets based on kind of the way he feels about you. And that's not a good way to go. Honestly, it's not a good way to go.
Yeah, I just, I feel like if I am anybody to Aaron Rodgers, like if Aaron Rodgers were to be one of the couple of guys watching this show right now, I would say, fuck trust if you're trying to get wins. You got to take chances. You need to be talking statistics.
CD would never get targets if he was on the Packers.
Dude, he would get 0 touches.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, shut the fuck up, dude.
The D is for drop.
No, you're right. Anyways, so yeah, I just feel
like Aaron L or RELAX. Relax. Oh.
Well, anyways, it's there's some shit going on, but Baltimore and the Giants continue to be a thing. Brian Daboll, being that individual who's now as revered as, one of the most beloved fat Big guys man. Since Biggie.
Like I said it last week, there's just something oddly magical going on with the Giants. And that was the reason I picked them. And I know it was a stupid reason. But Lamar Jackson turns the ball over twice in the fourth quarter with no business like making the 2 throws he made. I think he fumbled the one time trying to get too many yards. But the one throw he made with the last interception was just an abomination of a decision. It's just that's what's going on with the Giants right now. There is something absolutely magical going on with the Giants. They're not a good roster. They don't have playmakers outside of Saquon Barkley on offense. They don't have anybody on defense that you'd really look at and say that's a fucking all-pro level player. but they just continue to win games. They're fucking 5-1. It's just there's just something magical going on with these fucking Giants, man.
It's insane. It really is.
And they haven't been beating shit teams. It's not like they've played the fucking Commanders 6 times. They've beat the Ravens. They beat the Packers. Now the Packers are struggling, but still, like, they've beat some quality fucking teams, man.
We've definitely seen some quality football out of New York this year. And and
Beat the
again,
Titans?
just the NFC East in general.
It's wild, man.
It's insane landscape that we're navigating right now.
Wow.
And Aaron, you're hitting on something that's perfect timing because this is breaking news, even since we made our weekly picks for this weekend.
Live on the show.
Yeah. The Ravens have signed Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
The man is back. Oh, snap.
Back.
I love it. I'm not mad at it.
I think it's a good fit, to be honest, because he's a one-trick pony, and he's really, really fucking good at that one trick. And it might just be what they thought they were going to get with Hollywood Brown and what they need in Baltimore, because they've now got 2 tight ends that can press the field, and Mark Andrews is what Mark Andrews is.
Yeah.
But I think they need one person to really be able to take the top off the defense, and that's what Deshaun Jackson does. And to be honest, I can't name 2 people in the history of the game better at that than Deshaun Jackson. Like, literally just doing that. He played center field in baseball. He has elite, unmatched capability to track a ball in the air. It's unbelievable sometimes the way he gets under balls and makes guys, like, deceives guys into believing that he can't get to a ball, and then he gets to it and scores a touchdown. That might just be something that they need to really take some of the stress off of Lamar Jackson and open up the middle of the field a little bit more for Mark Andrews, but open up the field for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I would love to, honestly. I'm looking forward to, in 10, 15 years from now, when we're looking back on Mark Andrews' career, because we're not talking about it enough now, but we are seeing a Jason Witten, a Greg Olsen, a fucking Gronkowski level, Travis Kelce. Like, we are seeing all of these guys now, and we don't talk a lot about the great wide receivers. Mark Andrews is that great wide receiver. When you're talking about Travis Kelce, when you're even going back to Gronk and before that, I mean, there are plenty of folks to consider in that conversation, and Mark Andrews is well in that conversation at this point. I have no doubt he will be a Hall of Fame tight end.
He's gonna sneak up, man. He's gonna retire with some numbers that people are gonna look back and say, "Holy shit!" Like you said, 10,
and he is not talked about enough.
Nope.
I don't. I think he is the most underspoken of teammate on that team. For sure.
He might be the modern Antonio Gates, because Gates played when Gonzalez played.
That's a great reference.
And Kelsey's playing right now, and Gronk was playing at the start of Andrews' career. He might be the modern, or at least this kind of era's Antonio Gates, because Gates was unbelievable. And only fantasy owners really could tell you, like, Antonio Gates was that good.
Yeah.
And maybe Chargers fans too.
Won a Super Bowl with him.
Tony Gonzalez got all the shine then, and then Gronkowski came in, and right, like, now we've got Kelsey and Kittle to a certain extent, but Mark Andrews doesn't get the credit he should get.
Yeah. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's always, and I won a fantasy Super Bowl with Mark Andrews as well. So always got some love for that man. Won some with Witten. Yeah, I feel like every year that I have succeeded, I've had one great tight end that I held on to the entire
It can be a difference maker, man.
Really,
it can be a big time difference maker if you've got that guy.
I won one with Antonio Gates, won one with Mark Andrews. Interesting. All right. And last game of last week, dude, Bills Chiefs, this was a fucking brawl. This was absolute, like, when I think of the AFC in a nutshell, this is the matchup that I'm thinking of. I wish this was the Super Bowl. In my opinion, this is the dogfight that I wanted to see. This was, you were watching, this wasn't halftime adjustments. This was quarterly adjustments. This was fucking drive adjustments. Like, it was so real time and strategy changes and everything of the like. Man, this was good, technical, knockdown, drag out football. And it came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And it was pretty incredible.
Yeah,
So
it's one of those games, right? You see it in the regular season, you're like, man, this should be for something, right? And it very well could be. End of season, it could be the deciding factor in home field advantage, because now the Bills have tiebreaker over the Chiefs. And an interesting fun fact, the Bills now have a 1-game lead in their division over the New York Jets. Imagine that. But a one-game lead in their division, but they have the tiebreaker against all 3 of the other division leaders in the AFC. They beat the Ravens, they beat the Titans, and now they beat the Chiefs. They have the tiebreaker on all 3 of the other division leaders. So that's a feather in the cap that, you can't really say it doesn't mean anything, because now no matter who wins the other divisions, if there's a tie for the best in the conference, the Bills now have a tiebreaker over all of them, except the Bengals are kind of tied, but the Ravens have the tiebreaker against them in the AFC North. The big thing here for me was what happened at the end of the game. Von Miller is the difference maker that we discussed he could be in Buffalo, and I thought he was going to be. He's a closer, bro. And that one, he had a sack late in that game, and then on the interception that sealed the game, Dane Jackson was able to jump the route because he knew Mahomes' tendency when he was flushed. And guess who flushed him? Von Miller. Jackson was able to jump the route. They were sitting in the perfect coverage, man half, zone half, and they were able to jump the route. Great coaching decision. You talked about it. Play-to-play adjustments by both coaching staffs, but defensively, they dialed up something that was very unique with the man coverage one side and zone coverage the other side, and they flushed Mahomes to his right side, and they knew the tendencies. Dane Jackson was able to jump the route, but Von Miller, if the Bills win the Super Bowl this year, which I do think they're going to, they are my favorite, they are my pick. If they win the Super Bowl, we're going to look back on this and say that signing in the offseason was worth every penny, even if Von Miller doesn't play another fucking down for the Bills, because I believe he's that much of a difference maker on this defense, not only with the plays he makes, but also the accountability that every player on that defense has already come out and said Von Miller makes a difference in the locker room.
I think that my favorite part of this chess game that we saw was the premise to that play happening with the sack is running those flush plays in whatever capacity, whatever draws him out to one side consistently. And once they got at that, they just set up the 1-2 punch and then implemented that. But that was just real-time adjustments where you could see it. It was just like a boxing match. You maybe throw the jab to see if you can land the hook in it, and that was exactly what we witnessed. And so for the football purist, I'm sure that was something that you're like, oh, yeah, of course, that's what they have to do. That for me, that was a mind-blowing experience because I actually understood what was – it just made sense. And I was like, oh.
I'll put it out there right now. Leslie Frazier, who's the
awesome
defensive coordinator for the Bills, he's going to be a head coach again in this league. He was the head coach for the Vikings for a little while. He's going to be a head coach in this league again.
I think that I think we'll see him again in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I do think that this is, with the exception of the Titans, who have the mutant as kind of their X factor.
Yeah,
this is kind of the class of the AFC that we saw, and I think we're going to see it again. And I want to be in Buffalo for that AFC Championship game because that city's going to be fucking on fire in January. It is going to be hot in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Pack your suntan lotion, load up your Yetis because you will need them. It will be hot.
Listen, I wish Andy was here for this. I was holding off as long as possible, hoping he's going to get back in. He's got technical difficulties, but I'm going to pose this. This is kind of an ad hoc, off the cuff, Capper Facts. Is the Josh Allen You've Been Hurdled Club as cool as the Derrick Henry Snatched Your Soul Club? He's got a lot of names on that list now in the you've been hurdled club. He's a 6'6" quarterback, bro, hurdling dudes.
I feel like it's a lot closer than I would have realized without being asked that question. Like, I think they are their own class of. I mean, Derrick Henry is fucking terrifying, and he has bodied some human beings that should never have been bodied, because they were elite in their own class.
Sure.
But Josh Allen is, dude.
He's the unicorn, man. Like, he is the unicorn. He can beat you everywhere on the field. It's unbelievable to watch him too, like, not be terrified of linebackers and just take them on. I worry every week when I see him get hit, but he just continues to just run over people, around people, jump over people, and continues to just be that dude. He can beat you in the pocket. He can beat you on the run. He can beat you with his legs. He beats you with his mind now, and that almost feels unfair. And I think that should this season play out the way I think it's going to play out, we might be talking about Josh Allen as the best football player on the planet, honestly. And the Bills are in position to make a run for a long time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to, Aaron. Because quarterbacks are not expected to be what he is.
Yeah.
But when you look at Josh Allen, who is built like a tight end, can run and cut like a fullback.
He's a 4-5 tight end with some halfback, fullback in him.
Yeah. He doesn't have the most speed, but he can still cut, and he can do. It's just in his ability to read.
And by the way, he can throw the ball 85 yards.
Oh, by the way, he can do it off his back foot.
Yeah.
And hit Diggs just right through the fucking eye of the needle. Yeah. It is unbelievable.
He's different. He's just different.
Yeah, prodigy is an understatement. This is I mean, it's unreal.
The unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah, we weren't talking about Brady like this at this early in his career.
Yeah.
So it's impressive, and I'm looking for. I mean, look, the NFL's in good hands. If we're looking at Pat Mahomes, we're looking at Josh Allen, we're looking at hopefully Herbert, one day we.
Burrow.
Yeah, exactly. But then even going to Justin Fields, like I hope he can make it out of there alive. God damn it!
I want him to succeed.
Yeah, same.
Even if it's not in Chicago, I want him to succeed.
Yeah. You know who I don't really want to succeed? Kyler Murray.
I'm with you.
Just go to baseball, bud. Rangers need help.
Go play to baseball, field in Oakland or something.
Yeah, you fucking 5'6" cuck. Cooper Rush can lob it a good 35. Straight watermelons in the air, son.
Yeah. Oh, that was rough. All right, what do you want to do? You want to do salute first, or you want to get to week 7?
Yeah, let's get to salute.
All right, buddy.
Thank you guys for watching. Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. We are a veteran-owned sports media podcast. And we are veteran-owned, and we like to dedicate every episode to a fallen service member. And this episode will be dedicated to Army Specialist Artemis D. Brassfield, who passed away October 24th, 2003, serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was 22 years old, from Flint, Michigan, assigned to B Company 1st Battalion, 66th Armor Regiment, 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Hood, Texas. And he was killed in an enemy mortar attack in Samaria, Iraq. Army Specialist Artemis D. Brassfield, we have the watch.
Sure.
Salute. All right.
So, not to make super light of it, because obviously that's a super important part of the show, most important part of the show. I love the name Artemis.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but every time I hear it, I'm like, dude, that's such a strong, traditional, kind of old timey name. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's timeless.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's timeless. I've never heard of a name that has feng shui. Artemis has feng shui.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. So are we getting into next week, or you want to go cat facts?
We go week 7 first.
Okay, let's go week 7. All right. So starting off with New Orleans on the road in Arizona. Gary's on the island. He's got New Orleans.
I was surprised by this. I guess everyone has more faith in Arizona than I do. New Orleans is okay on offense. They're getting Olave back on Thursday. I think Jameis is going to play. Even if Jameis doesn't play, I think they're in capable hands with Andy Dalton. I just everything to me in Arizona is going wrong, and earlier in the season than I thought it would. Oh yeah, McAfee is going to be in Buffalo. Yep. Yeah, Colin Coward brought that up, but yeah, Pat McAfee. He's talking about going to Buffalo.
That'll be solid.
But I don't know. I don't buy it with Arizona.
That's fair. I mean, I'm honestly going to kind of double down. I don't know. I kind of feel the same about New Orleans. I don't feel like they have it together either. And a road game takes them out of that element.
That's fair. They're not a great team.
I'm not really even voting on.
For me.
Yeah, I'm not even really giving Arizona home field advantage. I'm just not really confident in New Orleans' ability to travel right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's fair.
All of us unanimous though with the shit show that's going on in Cleveland. So Baltimore's going to get a home win next week. The boys are in unison there.
Yep.
Tampa Bay looking to bounce back and beat the Panthers at home. All three of us in unison there.
Yeah, Tommy's going to light into them fucks all week this week.
You know, Robbie Anderson being taken out of that locker room
Might be a good thing.
Could be a good thing. And Brady is going to bounce. He's going to take his fucking aggression out on somebody outside of the line next week.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so, unanimous there. Speaking of unanimous, Cincinnati's going to win at home. All three of us there.
You went against Atlanta?
Oh, dude. Tiger King.
Tiger King.
You brought him from his first home to his new home? Come on, son.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's going to be slinging dick on the Falcons. And Jamar Chase is, that man is a ballistic missile. So, Lions on the road in Dallas, and all of us standing together and saying that the Dallas Cowboys are going to remain victorious.
This wasn't an easy pick for me.
I feel like, and I tried to say it earlier. Yeah, I don't think that this should have been an easy pick.
In the end, I picked Dallas because I do think that Detroit's offensive line struggles mightily, and I think that the Dallas pass rush is going to get back to good this week. I think that maybe last week was the anomaly because of Jalen Hurts and kind of what that offense can do. I think this week they're going to get back to they can pin their ears back and just get after Jared Goff. He's a statue.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Yeah.
It's a good bounce back game for Dallas, and it's a home game. So that's what it is for me. I mean,
especially at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Giants heading down to Jacksonville, Duval, and Gary's on Duval Island alone.
Yeah. There's a couple of these that I made this week that are, I think that they're letdown games. I think they're reality check games. And there was another one that I almost made this week that I was real close on, kind of a reality check game. But this is one of them for me. The Giants are on the road against Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville figured some things out offensively last week. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to score enough points to stay with the Jags. I think.
Who was the other game? Was it the Bears?
No. Jets and the Broncos, not to spoil it, but I'm on the island on that one. That's another letdown game for me. And then I almost took San Francisco over Kansas City, not to spoil
Oh,
too
okay.
much.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there were a couple this week that were letdown picks and another one that I really considered.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I think this will be a good test for the Giants.
Mhm.
I think it'll be an even more important test for Jacksonville because the New York Giants are a real team this year. And
Feels that way, doesn't it?
at least in the
5-1,
NFC,
man. They're fucking 5-1.
yeah, at least in the NFC. But I would say,
Bill Parcells said it best. You are what your record says you are.
yeah, and I
The
don't
Eagles are the only undefeated team in the league for another week because they're on a bye.
know. There you go. So, all of us standing together here that Tennessee is going to get the win at home here against Indianapolis, and for it should be a no-brainer.
They're coming off a bye too. They're gonna be healthy. Derrick Henry has gotten it going the last few weeks. The only X factor here for me is Jonathan Taylor might play, and if he's 100%, this could be a little bit of a barn burner.
Yeah, we could definitely see a blowout. Green Bay, Gary, I think 2 weeks ago I maybe would have been like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Right. I'm not crazy. This is two things for me.
No, for me, it's Wentz.
This is two things for me, right? This is Green Bay hasn't looked good. I don't think their defense really has it figured out. And the second thing is Wentz is out, and this is the Taylor Heineke effect for me. This is, I think he's going to make plays off schedule. He's going to make that offense look better. And we could see Terry McLaurin get real fucking healthy this week. He could eat real good this week because Heineke and McLaurin, real chemistry last year. McLaurin is quietly one of the 5 to 7 best wide receivers in the league and just doesn't get the looks because of Scott Turner's terrible fucking offensive play design. I think this week we're going to start to see Heineke push the envelope with Terry McLaurin, those jump balls that he's so good at. This is two things for me. It's Green Bay's defense is not good. It's Green Bay and it's the Taylor Heineke effect because the Green Bay offense ain't very good either. That's what it boils down to for me.
100%. On to the Jets on the road to the Mile High City, taking on the Denver Broncos, and Gary's on an island again. So this is saying a lot about the Jets or what you feel about the Jets.
It's not because I love the Jets. What this is saying is that this feels like a letdown game. They came off the big win against the Packers that were in the cheeseheads after the game.
So so this is just a random prediction then, not
this feels like one of those games that you come off a big win, you're on the road. Mile High is tough to play, right? Because of the thin air. It just feels like one of those letdown games. I hated picking this because I love the Jets.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing there. I love the young energy.
And
I love Robert Saleh.
Secretly want Russ to win. Okay.
I don't.
No, I mean, clearly you do, and that's fine.
I don't.
No, you are.
I tell you
your
every
identity.
week I make these picks with
You have been
zero
identified.
bias. I do my best to not have bias.
Yeah. He has 2 loves. 3 loves.
Washington, Russ, and Futures Kid.
Washington, Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
You got me.
So, I think Russ is the next on the divorce list, dude. I think it's what's gonna happen. Sierra's gonna go back to Future, and they're just gonna fucking,
They're gonna raise their kid together.
yeah, they're gonna live happily ever after, and Russ is just gonna be the fucking nerd.
Broncos country. I cried.
Yeah, he did. So I'm on Houston Island
What are
here.
you doing here, by the way?
What?
You've been all over the Raiders. You had them. I think you had them winning the division.
Oh, for sure.
You're
And
out
then,
now.
and just like Andy with his pick with the
Okay,
Broncos, I
that's
have
fair.
learned my lesson. I
That's
am
fair.
taking my medicine. But I've
That's
also
fair.
said all season that Houston is a lot better than they're getting credit
sneaky.
for.
They're sneaky.
And
They're not an easy out.
it's not, yeah, and it's not a guarantee right now. Period.
No, they're not an easy out.
They're not an easy out. So I'm giving Houston the win on the road.
Okay.
There's just a lot of uncertainty there with Vegas, and I do feel like Houston is in the process of gelling, like they're on the uptick, and Vegas is still undetermined.
I think the bye week came at the perfect time for Vegas.
100%.
I think that's the reason for me that I picked them here. They're healthy. I like Houston. I like they're young. I think they've got some good pieces in place. I like Dougie Davis Mills, but Vegas, the bye week came at the perfect time. Darren Waller got nicked up in their last game. It gave him a week of rest. I think he's going to start to get a little bit. He's going to start to get some looks in that offense. I just think the bye week came at the right time for them. I think we could see Vegas go on a run here of maybe 4 or 5 in a row.
I hate hearing that. Because I've just hopped off of this wagon, you know?
Yeah, you're going to have to get back on. You're going to have to show up with your ticket, all slunken. I'm sorry, let me back on.
Listen, hold on now. Okay, so we all agree that the Chargers are gonna get a good win here.
This wasn't an easy pick.
And this wasn't an easy pick. Thanks, Geno Smith.
And the way the Chargers have looked, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. It's very, very, very likely.
I'm genuinely concerned.
Yeah.
For the Chargers, for Justin Herbert. I am concerned.
They're getting him beat up, ain't they?
They really are.
Holy fuck.
They really are. But I still think they're going to be the better team.
I do too.
I
think they're at home as well.
They're at home. Yeah.
Yeah. That defense has to start playing better, right?
Yeah. Oh, they fucking better. They better figure it out.
Yeah.
There's too much talent there to not be better.
My God. They benched J.C. Jackson this past weekend.
Yeah. What is happening? Mm-hmm. Again, there's so many shakeups this season that are so crazy, fucking confusing.
I will say this though about that benching, it is exactly the same reason that William Jackson III got benched in Washington. It's taking a piece and trying to fit him to a scheme as opposed to allowing that piece to flourish. J.C. Jackson was one of the best corners in the league, maybe the best cover corner in the league last year in a man defensive scheme in New England. And the Chargers signed him and they play a lot of zone, a ton of zone, almost exclusively zone. They're very like 90%, I think, in zone coverage with their corners. Asante Samuel flourishes in that because he's really good with his eyes, but J.C. Jackson does not. William Jackson played a lot of man coverage in Cincinnati, and that's what got him paid in Washington. And then Jack Del Rio tried to put him in zone. He's been fucking awful in Washington. Hey, defensive coordinators out there, think about scheme fit a little bit when you're trying to fucking put players in position to succeed in your defense.
Onward and upwards here. And, Gary, I think this should be a nice little bounce back win for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that San Fran is good. I think that they're not Chiefs good.
I debated this one. I mentioned it a moment ago. This was one that I thought could be a letdown for the Chiefs coming off that really emotional, disappointing loss. Yeah, Aaron's scheme fit. It's such a big deal especially for defensive players. But I thought that this could potentially be an emotional letdown for the Chiefs, but in the end, I went with the Chiefs for the exact reason you just said, that they should be looking at this as an opportunity to bounce back from a tough loss at home against Buffalo.
Yeah.
And the Niners are pretty well fucking skinned on defense. They just don't have anybody healthy right now.
Yeah.
But I did target this one as potentially one of those ones that Kansas City could be maybe still stuck on the loss to Buffalo. But in the end, I think they are going to regroup and treat this as a bounce back opportunity.
100%. So, speaking of 100%,
yeah, finish the week on 100%.
It looks good in the forecast for us being in unison here. There's a lot of peace on our matchup picks here. And I wouldn't say that all of our matchups here that we were on the same page were easy picks.
No, not all of them.
Steelers in Miami, however.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that was an easy pick. And then
Tua's back. Tua's back, and
yeah,
I think that the chemistry that he and Tyreek and he and Jalen Waddle have is going to make a difference in this game.
Yeah. I think that they're like the opposite of the Broncos right now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, without their quarterback, they would be exactly what the Broncos would be like.
Mm-hmm.
So New England gonna win at home against the Bears, and for me, you know, Mac Jones is gonna be good. Bill Belichick is still the greatest coach of all time, and so against a very struggling Bears organization, I can't even narrow it down to one specific part of that team. It's just the entire fucking organization. The fact that their coach still has a job.
Yep. We've talked about the NFC East. The AFC East suddenly, like, New England's playing better. The defense is going. The offense looks like they're going to be all right. Mac Jones should be coming back soon. The Dolphins are getting Tua back. The AFC East might be the best division in football. They're going to have everybody at or above. I mean, going into this week, they've got everybody at or above 500. So, you know, this is an opportunity for the Patriots to stack wins, right? That's the big thing in the NFL. You got to stack wins. When you get an opportunity, you got to stack wins. The Bears are scuffling. The Patriots defense is the real deal. If they can score enough points, and they're at home, I fully expect them to be able to put up enough points here to knock off the Bears. 15 might be enough.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 was enough on Thursday for Washington.
I think that they're going to hang up. I think that this is going to be a boat race for New England.
It's very possible. I mean, they boat raced Cleveland last week.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, I think we'd all be unanimous if Cleveland played Chicago. I think we'd all pick Cleveland. So.
I think it's been long enough that people have kind of shut down the idea that the Patriots are going to be good, because they are. I think that they're 2-3 key players away from being somebody. Unfortunately, it's not enough to be, you know, the best of the best and take a Super Bowl home for Billy Belly, but I think that I underestimated what they would be this season.
That's fair.
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
And a big credit there to Mac Jones. All right. I think that wraps up our Week 7 predictions.
Yes, sir.
All right, so now let's get over to a little bit of our cat facts. All right. Question 1 here in cat facts.
Sorry.
Cat facts, the NFL needs to have players sign a waiver about concussions because the protocols are fucking stupid. Waivers would allow them to refuse treatment or re-enter if medically cleared. Yeah. I've thought a lot about this, and so I'm gonna defer to you only because I want to hear your opinion first.
You would defer on this one.
I
I put a
do.
lot of thought in this too because like I tried to look at this from the perspective of this is a professional workplace, right? And my employer doesn't have me sign a waiver that like if I go smash my head off the wall, they're not held responsible, right? I think right now, and this question is fair because of what we've seen over the last few weeks. It's all in response to the Tua optics on a national stage. It was bad, and it harkened back to the week prior when everybody in the world, except for the doctor for the Dolphins, the independent doctor who was assessing concussions that week, everybody in the world except him knew that Tua had a concussion, and maybe Mike McDaniel. I just this is I think this is going to be something that if I'm just kind of a nihilistic fan, then yes, I want this to happen, right? I just want the players to be on the field if they want to play. But then I think back to like the 80s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe even prior to that. You get your bell rung, you get on the field. And I remember as a kid, like my ears ring and I'm still playing football. Like looking back on that, I'm like, that probably wasn't the best decision. But like, so this is cap for me because I think there has to be a better enforcement of concussion protocol. I think what really needs to happen is that the NFL needs to take a deep look, and they never will, but they need to take a deep look at their own business model and how things are managed. Helmets need to evolve. We are at the point now where helmets are not enough to protect from concussions. And I know that the players, the NFLPA, have said in the past, we won't agree to helmets that make us look weird on television. I get it. But there's a point in time where it affects the product on the field, and the NFL doesn't have a choice in this scenario because they're trying to protect themselves, save face. They're overreacting on the concussions on the field. Teddy Bridgewater is a prime example. He went all game, all week, no symptoms. They still wouldn't clear him. And then finally he was cleared, but Mike McDaniel said, we're going to play it safe. We're going to play the backup, yada, yada. It's nonsense what's going on right now with the overreaction, but the NFL is trying to protect themselves. Cap here, but what really needs to happen is a better concussion protocol and a more properly enforced concussion protocol.
Well, there's two kind of schools of thought here. There's the kind of swim at your own risk, and also, letting individuals make their own choices. And then there are things from a liability standpoint and I believe an ethical standpoint, because at the end of the day, all of us as fans want to see the highest level performance of football that's available to mankind. And we are fortunate to see what we see out of these human beings. But at the same time, I understand the school of thought of like, look, if these guys want to get back out on the field and go make big plays, and maybe they are in that gray area, then sure. Should Tua have been cleared to go back into the game? Not in a million years. So there is a happy medium that we have to reach as a football community. There has to be an NFL concussion protocol that is fair and just, that will allow these players to kind of make those decisions, but also not jeopardize or not create an opportunity where my daughter's watching the game with me watch somebody die on television. And so there is a balance to it, and I respect it. However, um, I am facts for the waivers. I agree that there needs to be some level of personal accountability. They make their own decisions whether or not they want to do it. They want to give in to the hype. They want to give in to the frenzy. You know, if anybody was saying no, let Tua back in the game if he was trying to get back in the game after that concussion, anyone riding for him, because everyone that I knew that was watching Tua and the progression from concussion 1 to concussion 2, wanted him out after the first one and agreed that he shouldn't be back. But for that one small, minute percentage of people that probably thought, no, hell yeah, he needs to get back in because we've got to win this game. You know, that's your only real enemy is the quarterback of that team, right? Is you have to decide whether or not those guys are worth it. If you implement a waiver, that'll give them the chance to do so. But there has to be a more clean cut, clear, decided protocol. And yeah. I've talked about it. I talked about it last week about the idea of the NFLPA having a little bit more voice in things like that. And that's, but also not just from what we should be able to do, but what from an accountability standpoint, keeping themselves accountable as NFL players.
Aaron makes a good point here. And this has been the hot topic of like the last probably 6, 7, maybe as much as 10 years is you practice 5 times a week in a lot of arenas.
Yeah.
And you're hitting probably 3, 4 times a week. I know in high school we hit 5 times a week, and we had a small walkthrough on Saturday or on Saturday morning, and then we played Saturday. But we hit 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, and then played on Saturday. Aaron brings up the point here, right? Maybe more concussions from practices. The NFL recognized that, and they've got the commander or the defender. Is it defender or commander? Whatever they fucking have for that helmet thing. Defender, fine. Whatever it is, it's a stupid name either way. Helmet, the pad that they put over the helmet, right? And that they recognized during practice, we're gonna have certain positions, offensive line wear it because they've got the most collisions all the time. So there are things that are addressing some of these things, but like it's game time, right? We've got the sleek helmets that everybody thinks looks cool, and yeah, they look pretty neat, but if there's a way for everybody to wear what Welker wore, Welker had that big helmet with the extra protector. There's some science behind that being the solution. Why isn't everybody doing that? It's because the NFLPA hasn't signed off on it, right? And we're going to get there maybe eventually, or we're just going to take collisions out of the game. We're going to be playing 7-on-7, maybe even flag football. At that point, it's going to come to a point that it's going to be really hard to keep collisions in the game if we're not going to protect kids.
100%. It's only going to get worse if we continue to allow it to, to an extent, obviously. But I do think that, if you allow these guys to just, as it is right now, sign a waiver and clear concussion protocol and return back to the field, someone's going to die on that field. And it won't take very many games to see that happen, or very many seasons, rather. Cat facts, Christian McCaffrey is a Panther next year. So there's already been a lot of buzz around the Twitter sphere talking about some potential offers for Christian McCaffrey that were turned down and said that they were too low. So, Gary, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't think he's a Panthers next year. I don't think he's a Panther in week 10 of this year. I think he's gone by the trade deadline. I think they're going to get closer to the trade deadline, and they're going to realize, like, next year he's on the hook for a lot of money. He took a pay cut technically on his salary. He still got paid, like, the guaranteed money, but that was supposed to open up the trade market. Nobody's going to give up a first-round pick for a running back. Nobody's going to give up multiple first-round picks, especially for a running back. We're talking third round, maybe as much as a second round if a team really thinks it puts them over the top. I look at a team like Buffalo, possibly seeing McCaffrey as a guy who can make them that much better and maybe giving up a second rounder, but nobody's giving up a first round pick for this guy who can't stay on the field. The Panthers can hold out all they want. As we get closer to the deadline, they're going to realize their season is dead, and they're going to trade him probably for a third, fourth round pick. It might be Buffalo. It might be Tampa. I don't know to trade him in the division, but it might be there. You look at some other teams, maybe San Fran with all the injuries. He's not going to be a Panther for the rest of this season. I
Yeah.
don't think he makes it to week 10 of this year.
Well, all right. So cap for you. It's cap for me. I think that yeah, I would be surprised if he makes it. I would be surprised if he made it to the end of the season, but I think that this was the first year where I felt like, okay, Christian McCaffrey is no longer like peak level, but also, he's not really a contender for like this amazing elite level running back that I feel like we've talked about over the years. And he was always kind of this elusive guy because of his absence. And this was the first year I feel like where it settled in for me that Christian McCaffrey's he's not elite anymore. And so that's a tough pill to swallow because there was a hell of a marketing campaign behind this guy and his ability to produce, and there was justification for so.
Yeah.
On to the next one, Cap Facts. Despite currently residing in the basement of their division, the Cardinals will actually win the AFC West. So I presented this question. Hey, and Aaron, I'm not mad at that, honestly. They could use some help.
They've shown a propensity to trade. Fuck them picks, right? As Les Snead would say.
And I don't know if you know this, but Matt Stafford is rumored to be partial to white people.
He loves him some white people.
He loves him some whites. He loves.
He's from Texas and played football in Georgia.
He did, yeah. Yep. Westlake High School graduate, state champion.
Yeah.
I've seen his jerseys hanging out around town, his high school jerseys. Anyways, so despite currently being in the basement of their division, I think that this is facts. I think it's entirely possible that the Cardinals, with the addition of Robbie Anderson, with the eventual return of DeAndre Hopkins, I think that we see an already unstable AFC West division potentially allow the Cardinals to sneak up and take this. For me, they're the dark horse in the division.
Yeah, I had to consider this against the division, right? You mentioned the AFC West isn't as good as I think we all thought it would be at the beginning of the season. The Rams, something's wrong there. The Niners can't stay healthy. I don't know what goes on with their strength and conditioning program. The Seahawks are in a rebuilding year, but they're playing some decent football. But it boiled down to, for me, like I just don't think the Cardinals are a good football team. I don't think they're a well-run football team.
Yeah.
I think DeAndre Hopkins coming back makes a difference, but I also think that Robbie Anderson coming in makes a huge difference negatively. He's a very toxic dude. Did I say AFC West, Aaron? Sorry, NFC West. If I misspoke, then that's on me. But I just don't know that it makes enough of a difference with D-Hop coming back, because Robbie Anderson is a toxic fucking dickhead who's really not even good, who can't produce on a team that has no other wide receivers. Like, you're not open, bro. And when you are open, you drop the ball. They're going to get tired of that shit in Arizona too. I don't see it. For me, I still think the Rams are going to win this division. I don't know that the Cardinals win 7 games this year. They're not good.
Yikes.
They're not good.
On to the next one. And that is our bad. NFC West.
Yeah. Oh, did I put it in the cap?
God damn it.
I did it in the cap facts. I thought I said it.
I read everything that's on the teleprompter.
And I wrote it in the fucking cap facts. I thought I said it during the show, and I was looking at the thing.
Dude,
never mind.
I just had my very first time.
That's on
Ron
me.
Burgundy?
Yeah, that's on me, Aaron.
God damn it. I
100%.
read it as depicted on the teleprompter. My bad. I should have known better.
100% on me.
Yeah. All right. So Cap Facts, TB12's recent comparison of an NFL season to a military deployment is yet another example of his departure from reality and another reason he should retire. There's a lot of reasons why Tom Brady should retire, Gary. I think that his last Super Bowl victory was more than enough reason to retire.
Number 7.
Yeah. And I think that last year was a perfect time to retire after the season, after the Super Bowl win, just to be done with it. But this year, it just looks pitiful. Now you magnify this with the divorce and everything else that's happening. He was recently spotted walking around without his wedding band. It's time. But to be the type of guy that says it's a military deployment, it's insensitive. But when you think of the idea of traveling as much as NFL players do, dedicating to the craft the way that they do, that there is an investment of time that is similar to it. There is a level of focus that's required that is similar to it. So, as a veteran, I can at least who's been on a military deployment, not to the level of some of the folks that are chattering. A first wave Iraq veteran is probably going to be a little upset by that. So for that, I say it's insensitive. But face value of what it takes to be in an NFL season and compete at that level, I get it. But you're out of touch, bud. That's what it comes down to, is you're fucking out of touch. You have no concept of reality at this point because you are an absolute... You're an old Russell Wilson at this point. You have a persona. It creeps out at times. Russ hasn't gotten to develop his actual persona yet anymore because it's been stolen and stripped from him. But Tom Brady's gotten to the old I don't give a fuck mode where he started to show his, and Tampa Bay brought that out of him. But there's still plenty of clueless there that is of concern. So that's where I'm at with it. So yeah, I believe this is 100% facts.
Yeah, I'm 50% facts on this. I mean, he should have retired because he won 7 Super Bowls. He should have retired.
It was more than enough reason.
His wife is a fucking world-class supermodel
who is worth more than he is.
Right, like it's he's got plenty of reasons to just retire and ride off into the sunset and live with his family and be happy. But that's not what he wants to do. So whatever.
He wants to go out on a shield.
However,
this is not the way to do it.
The first part of this statement is 100% facts. He is so far detached from reality because he's not at all training to put his life on the line. He's not training to dive on a grenade to save his buddies next to him. He's not training to return fire at enemies downrange. He's not training to be in the middle of the ocean blowing donuts, pushing air support for a carrier strike group. If you've never been in the military, shut the fuck up about the military, okay? And that goes both ways. I've said this about Kellen Winslow, saying he's a warrior and yada yada. I've also said this about people that try to say entertainers shouldn't be paid as much as military people. You can kiss my ass with that because, one, it's two different worlds. They generate revenue based on their ability to perform. It's a whole different comparison. So this works both ways. You're out of touch. If you've never been in the military, you don't have a say in the matter. You can't compare this to a military deployment because I can tell you right now, your ability to pick your phone up and call your wife, call your kids, FaceTime them, every moment of every day that you're not lifting weights or working out, that's completely different than a deployment, bub. If you've never been at River City and had your comms completely shut down because you don't have a choice, you don't know what a military deployment's like. If you've never called your family and they've not been able to pick up because you've come up Periscope and tried to send an email or a phone call and they don't answer, and then you've got to spend the next 3, 4, 5 weeks wondering, you don't know what a military deployment's like, dude. You don't know. So shut the fuck up with this shit. I get it. The life of an athlete is tough. I'll never not say that.
Yeah.
You are working on a regular basis. You are traveling. You're doing all the baseball players have it way worse than NFL players. Let me tell you that. Shut up, dude. Shut up. Shut up. He's so out of touch with reality.
I think it just comes down to a face value evaluation of effort as opposed to not understanding the gravity associated with that effort. You know, you're taking all of that out of context. And so you're just trying to identify with one point associated with something like somebody who's preparing for a military deployment. Yeah, but yeah, it's completely out of touch. And, you know, it's time to hang them up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. All right, let's finish up here. Damn K, and congrats, Brian.
Onward. All right, damn K. I'm gonna pay some props here to something we've seen this week, and so we want to pay tribute. Starting with Gary, what's your damn K for this week?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go to the Bills Chiefs game. The dime that Josh Allen threw to Stephon Diggs in the end zone, and the catch that Stephon Diggs made, contested, arm being grabbed, just from start to finish on that play. Josh Allen shows off the arm talent, his ability to drop the ball in a bucket. And Diggs, one of the best wide receivers in the league, who probably doesn't get consideration enough as one of the best wide receivers in the league. Beautiful play, start to finish, in a huge, huge win for the Buffalo Bills. Damn K.
Damn K. That's a solid one. I had a lot of ideas for damn K. I think my most favorite damn K had to come from also the Buffalo game. But I want to talk, and I've got to pull it up so I can read the excerpt that I saved about him. But oh, I can't find it now. Oh no. Anyways, I had something written down about him. But the Bills' performance was one thing. If I'm going to pick something else, I do want to step out just very quickly. I won't be on the tailgate, but I'm going to tease the tailgate. And I'm just going to quickly say that the props go to the people within the Tennessee stadium for sending the uprights on home.
Yeah.
So... Tennessee Volunteers, be sure to tune in to Tailgate Trash Talk.
Speaking of McAfee, he jumped in the river during College Game Day.
He washed in the blood, is what he did, and he didn't
Vols
he
fans
backflopped.
Yeah. And then Vols fans sent the uprights into said river.
Yeah. So River saw a lot of action.
Oh yeah.
A lot of baptized the upright, washed them in the blood. And now there's like a GoFundMe to try to refund it. So that's in and of itself a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah,
billions
honestly,
of dollars that university brings in every year, they can't afford uprights.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Volunteers fans for sending the uprights to their home, for me, that is my damn K for the week. So onward now to congrats, Brian. Comment from Aaron, those refs started.
Oh, dude. Yeah. They made a beeline, bro.
That video.
That ball went in and they made a beeline. They knew.
Oh my God.
They knew.
As they should.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
All right, so my congrats, Brian, is gonna go to the Panthers organization in general. So you get rid of Matt Rule, who I believe we agreed was not a good move. And then victim of circumstance, there's plenty wrong. And now we're in a situation where Robbie Anderson bows up to a coach on the sideline. Interim head coach removes him from the game, and shortly thereafter, he's traded to the Cardinals, who are kind of in need of a receiver. And so I wanted to attribute my congrats, Brian, initially just to Robbie, but it's got to be to the entire Panthers organization. It's got to be, because they are just an absolute, like, we saw them fall apart so drastically in the last week as after they thought they'd get better by losing Baker.
Yeah, I mean, it's another organization that is going to blame a quarterback that doesn't need to be blamed, honestly. Like, we saw it in Cleveland with Baker, and they're just not a good team. We see it in Washington with Haskins and now Wentz, and it's an easy cop-out because you see guys like Mahomes and Brady and Rodgers and Allen who can carry teams. And you think, God, we should have a guy like that. There's a reason that there's a handful of dudes and everybody else.
Right.
And it's not. And you look at those organizations, though, like Mahomes has a favorable head coach, offensive play caller. Allen, they've built around in Buffalo. Brady is always taking pay cuts to make sure he's got good players around him. People come to Tampa to play with him. And for the longest time, Rodgers had Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver and Devontae Adams, and they've had a good running game and a good defense. Right. In some years, they've had a good defense, and the one year they had a really good defense, they won the Super Bowl. They can't do it all on their own, right? Ask Dan Marino, because he was the guy in Miami for 18 years. He went to a Super Bowl his second year and never got close again the rest of his career because they never built around him. They never put a great defense around him. They never put a running game around him. You can't just do it with a quarterback, and these coaches and organizations just want to hang their hat on one thing. Oh, we just need a quarterback. We just need a quarterback. You don't have playmakers on the outside. You don't have a tight end you can throw to, and you don't have a very good defense. That's the reason that Carolina's not good.
Yeah.
Not Baker Mayfield.
So, which Brian are you congratulating, Gary?
So, my congrats, Brian, goes to Nathaniel Hackett. Man, this dude has run his course. He can't survive this season, honestly. It's week in and week out that this dude is just making bonehead decisions as a coach, as a play caller. It's not working. And I know that he probably wasn't the first choice for the Broncos. However, they thought that it would help them leverage to get Aaron Rodgers and possibly Devontae Adams. And I respect that on their behalf, right? Like, if you can get Aaron Rodgers on that team, that's probably a Super Bowl team. But they missed, and now they're kind of stuck with Nathaniel Hackett. He's been awful for 6 weeks, and I don't think it's going to get better. So, congrats, Brian. It's not good.
It's really not good.
It's not good.
I did just find a quick little clip on my Damn K for the week. Is actually going to Colts owner Jim Irsay becoming the first NFL owner to endorse the removal of Dan Snyder. That is my Damn K. I
have a question for you about Jim Irsay.
Okay.
And I know this is going to sound like I'm coming to the defense of Dan Snyder, and I'm not, because I've wanted him out for a long time. But was Jim Irsay on a bender when he said that?
I think that
he's not the voice you want, man. Like, you need Jerry Jones. You need the Mara family. Like, you need these big, heavy
I don't think
hitters.
that you're going to get that. I think
Jim Irsay's a drunk cokehead.
Yeah.
He's not the voice you want. Like, if anybody's got skeletons that Dan Snyder has dirt on,
I can always appreciate the guy that in a situation starts the slow clap.
Sure.
Okay.
If that's what
And
this
so-
becomes, absolutely.
That's it.
If he starts the snowball down the hill.
I'm not saying that he's some fucking triumphant flag
he'll win a
bearer
lot of
that's
respect
gonna.
from me if he starts the snowball down the hill.
He's not the candidate that I'm gonna fucking elect into office to run this crusade, but at least he's starting. You know, he's starting the snowball. You know, and rolling
Remember
it
when
down the
Peyton Manning said about Mike Vanderchat, "Oh, that's just our drunk kicker."
hill.
The NFL right now is saying, "Oh, that's just our drunk owner."
Yeah, I just wish that there would be more. I mean, this is Jim Irsay is definitely kind of
No,
from
I make
eye-opening
light of it.
standpoint. He's like the
I
Donald
make
Trump
light of
the
it, but
NFL.
you're absolutely right. Like we need voices from the NFL ownership to come out and say, "Dan, you fucked up. You got to go." Right?
Yeah.
We need it. I just
100%.
like Jim Irsay's not the voice I was looking for.
Oh, dude, he is definitely not the one you want to be your spokesperson, but at least somebody is fucking trying.
Yes, 100%.
That's where I'm at with
100%. I'm with you 100% on that aspect of it. That there are voices. This isn't the
It's
one we
the
wanted,
only
but it's a voice.
qualification of praise that I'm providing, just to be
Yes,
clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not a fucking role model by any means.
Concur. 100%.
All right, what else we got, Gary?
That's it, buddy.
All right. Well, that brings this episode to a conclusion. Another episode of Backyard Blitz brought to you by the boys here at Backyard Sports Media. Gary, you got any closing thoughts?
Week 7, I think, is when we're going to start to see teams that work great through 6 weeks. It's usually about the middle point of the cocaine's a hell of a drug. That's a great
Hell yeah,
statement.
brother.
The middle point of the season is when we start to see these teams kind of really show their feathers. We've seen some teams separate from the pack. I'm really curious to see how in week 10 we look at some of these middle of the road teams. Those teams that are 4-2 or maybe even 3-3 right now that we didn't expect to be, are they still 6-4 or 5-5 after 10 weeks? Let's see how these next few weeks play out. So I think week 6, 7, 8, 9 are really those kind of rubber meets the road weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks
really
start coming.
seeing
People can get healthy as well, but
it's time for some mid-season adjustments, I think.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
I'm hoping that we're going to start to see the clear-cut victors start pulling ahead here. And I will say that it's not the teams that I thought at the beginning of the season would be pulling ahead. The Eagles were never in that fucking conversation. I'll tell you that. The Giants damn sure were never in that conversation.
Yeah.
So lots of teams in there. But anyways, with that being said, be sure to tune in tomorrow as we had a crazy week of college football. So be sure to check out Tailgate Trash Talk. And most importantly now, since we are well into the fucking heart of October, we have the postseason picture locked in place today with the Yankees winning, as we have Yankees taking on Houston in the ALCS and Phillies going up against the Padres in the NLCS. So be sure to check out the Rosenbaggers podcast tomorrow as well. Gary, always a pleasure. Andy, hope to see you next week, bud. You know, maybe you can upgrade from 95 or 98 to XP. We'll see. You know, we'll see what we can do. Get you.
We got to get him off that Amiga.
Dude, it's a tough go.
It's
a tough go. So from all of us here at Backyard Sports, this is the Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. I'm Raul. Got Gary with me, and we will see you guys next week.